Hi, welcome to Hellstormwargaming. Welcome to this. I don't know how to go into it. Welcome to Hellstormwargaming. Today I'm going to show you how to paint. Yes, paint. Everything, ever. Anything you can think of, you'll paint it because of this video. Thanks to this paint. This is magic paint. Once you paint it, you'll never stop. This is magic paint. Once you start painting with this paint, you'll never stop. Literally never. You will be bound by its magical powers of painting everything ever until you are done, which you'll never be done because there'll always be a little bit to do. Oh, this isn't funny. So guys, welcome to Hellstorm Wargaming. Before I get into it, I should probably say that this video is sponsored. Not really. I don't get sponsors. But if you want to support the channel, make sure you like and subscribe, share the video, tell your friends, put the notification bell on so you get all the latest uploads, and also check out Hellstorm Premium. We put on extra content there, and it just supports the channel and makes videos like this a possibility. Otherwise, we won't be able to afford to buy these. So, yeah. So today I'm going to be messing around with contrast paints. I should go in and say I'm not going to paint a whole model because I thought it'd be better just to kind of show an example of what I think of them, or like what I think you can achieve with them. Sadly, I don't have the entire range as much as I'd love to. One, because I can't afford them, and two, because you can't actually get them. I went out and bought these on release day, which is today, which is Saturday the 15th. So I've got like some colours that I think I'll be able to use in my normal painting day to day or whatever, but I don't have all of them. So I've got some like ones that I really want to show that I think are like really good standout ones, and I've got ones that are kind of like, I don't know, I just thought I'd try them out and see what I like. So I've got a range of different models, both GW, Age of Sigmar and 40k, but I've also got some other company models because I thought it'd be good to show off different examples what you can actually do with them, because obviously they've kind of said, look, this is a GW paint, you're going to be able to paint all your armies, but I think they're actually going to be really good for other things as well. So I thought we could just play with them and see what we get out with them. But I've painted a Marine, ready to paint. I'm probably not going to bore you because everyone else has done a Marine. Oh, why not? I'll bore you with a Marine first. So I'm just painting a normal Primaris Intercessor, one of the starter kit ones. Nothing special. This has been primed in grey. I don't actually have any of the Wraithbone or Greyseer colours because I couldn't get hold of them, so I've just used what I have. So this is just primed in a dull grey. I've got a couple of models that are primed in white as well, and I've got models that are coated in something that's similar to Wraithbone, but it's actually got a glossy finish, and I'm curious to see what a colour like that would look, the difference the colour would look on it over a glossy finish. So I'm going to actually paint this with contrast Space Wolves Grey, and I've mixed it in with a little bit of contrast medium. And supposedly you can use this right out of the pot, but I thought I'd mix it, like, because it's armour, I don't think it's going to work very well, so I'm just going to paint this over. Maybe because I've thinned it, I'm going to make it look worse, but I can always go over with another coat. I actually started off using a bit of medium, but then I gave up halfway through because I couldn't be bothered to mix it. I just thought I'd use it right out of the pot like they suggest. So once I've kind of like painted it all over the model, I'm just going around and just collecting the pooled bit, like where it's a bit too much, to try and like rescue it, because I can see it's doing what I expected it to do, which is sit on the flat surfaces, and rather than like look like it's a shade or something like that, it's just sitting, which isn't what I want. So this is the model after I've kind of like done with it. As you can see, it's kind of like sitting on some of the flat panels, but I've pulled off most of it, so I'm going to like leave this to dry, and then we can, once we've done that, we're going to have a look at something like a Dire Avenger with the same colour and see what it looks like. So this is the Space Wolf Grey, just after it's kind of like dried off a bit now. As you can see, it's kind of like, it's set in the recesses nicely, which is good, but on the flat armour panels it's kind of like left a weird, I don't know if that's maybe I didn't put enough on, but like in the shoulder pads, it just like looked messy. It's not like the effect that I'd want. I'd have to go in and like touch all this up now, which is like, what's the point? I may as well have just washed it. This is what the Die Avenger looks like after it's wet, and I can see this is probably going to come out better. Reason being is because this has more recesses for it to sit in, where there's not as many flat armor panels, and where there is, it's kind of fallen off it. So we'll see what it looks like after it dries compared to two. Whereas the Die Avenger, I think it's left a nicer effect. Maybe it's just the colours I'm using. Maybe this isn't a very good example. I'm just using stuff that I thought was like good to try out, see what stuff happens, see how things happen. I think maybe I'll try it with a white and see if that's any better. Post some links on Instagram or something. But like, it looks better on the Die Avenger than it does on the Primaris Incessor, but it doesn't look great in my opinion. So as I said, I generally bought colours that I thought were actually going to be useful for me. So I'm going to try out Nazdrag Yellow onto another grey miniature. I'm going to paint it onto a horror, which is actually blue horror. But you know, horrors can be any colour you like. Don't shoebox them into what you expect them to be. They can live their life as they want. See, with this, it's like, it's more, the pigment is a lot higher. I think with like certain colours, they look really good, and certain colours look really bad. And again, I'm just using this straight out of the pot, adding a little bit of contrast medium if needed, just to help smooth it over. So that's what it looks like over a horror. As you can see, because this model's more organic, it's sitting in the recesses but where you want it to, and where it does pull on the model it looks more natural because it's not armour. But that's still wet. We'll look at it. We'll have a look at it when it's dry. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it very similar. Well, I'm going to paint the head of the Exalted Zinch model, or Super Chicken as it used to be known, that I bought when it was still good. And then we're just going to like see the difference because he's got a white undercoat rather than grey. So as you can see, just finished painting it. It's still wet at the minute, but like it's a lot more vibrant than what the horror looked like, and I think this is probably sat on the model a lot better. What you have to think about with these paints is they're not really like traditional paint. You're not really covering the base coat. What you're doing is you're adding a tint layer, as I like to think about it. It's like, because that's what you call it in like Photoshop or something like that. So you can basically still see the white, but there's a tint over the top, which is changing the colour. So if you think about it more like that rather than like this is like a base coat, because it's not, it's more like using an ink. It's kind of like an ink and a mix between an ink and a wash. So with these paints, because of the way they sit on the model, you're supposed to leave them to dry on the bases, because that's where the shadows would fall. The shadows would fall underneath, and also like on the top parts it'll fall off and run off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to dry, probably like this, because that's how it sits on the thing, and then we'll compare the two as well. So the Zinch head is pretty much dried. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mix in now and do like a two-tone colour. As I said, it's not a paint, it's a tint, and I'm going to argue that. So as you can see, what I've done is I've used three colours. Obviously we had Nazdrag Yellow on the base, then I went in with Snakebite Leather halfway, and then right at the top I've gone in with Cygor Brown, and I've created a really, really nice blend. This is obviously still wet, but what the contrast does is, because it's a tint, it's kind of like airbrushing in that it's not like airbrushing. The theory behind it's kind of like airbrushing. You're tinting the model, you're not painting it, you're tinting it. So what's happening here is, rather than just being a pure Snakebite Leather, it's on top of the Nazdrag Yellow. So when it's translucent, so you can still see the primer, you can still see the white, but you can see through the colours, and that's how you get this kind of effect. Because what we've got is we've got Nazdrag White and Nazdrag Yellow and then we've got snakebite leather over the top, which you can still see the yellow underneath, but obviously it's been tinted, and then we can see we've got Cygor brown on top, which again is being tinted through the other two colours. So we've got a really nice blend, which has been done really easily. Like with a paintbrush, that'd be quite hard to do, I reckon. It's not perfect, you can do it a lot better with a paintbrush if you had the talent, but with, like, you know, scrubs like us who are just like messing around with a few paints, that's a nice effect. And I think like that makes me want to paint some dinosaurs, if I'm honest. It looks like what I imagine a Stegosaurus skin would look like. So yeah, I'm actually like really impressed with that. So there you go, that's a bit of a blend. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it over what I call not Wraithbone. This is actually like it's actually a paint that's got a gloss finish to it. So I'm going to paint the same colour that I've painted the two demons with over this and see the difference. So there it is, all painted. What I did find is I normally, before I wash stuff, I gloss coat it first, because what it does is it creates a smooth finish which lets washes run into the recesses. What I found with this is the paint went in onto the model a lot quicker and a lot easier. I didn't actually use much contrast compared to normal. Maybe it's because it's a smaller piece of model. Obviously it's just a chest plate from a Demon Prince, the GW plastic one. But I think the gloss finish definitely had an effect on painting time. Well, I'd love to see what it's going to look like with the effect, but from looking at it, it just kind of looks like a warmer version of white. But we'll see, to be honest. Maybe the difference, because this is glossy and they were done with normal primers, which may have a rugged finish compared to these new GW ones. Can't compare, sadly. You know, there's plenty of videos out there that you can watch, can see that. But I did actually find it a lot easier to paint over gloss than I did over normal primer. So you can see with the Nazdrag Yellow, now it's dry over grey, it looks weird. It's definitely a different tone, but it's kind of like not very exciting compared to the white. But over the gloss, it still hasn't dried, but like this is over Wraithbone, and if you compare this to the white, it's very, very similar, but obviously it went on a lot easier, and I think it settled in the recesses a lot better, not sat on the flat pecs or anything like that, which is really nice. So yeah, over gloss, really nice, and obviously that's over cream, but not to Wraithbone, rather than white. Now one I have been which I actually went to the seminar at Warhammer Fest for contrast paint, the day they officially got announced, and one that I did see was Guilliman Flesh, and that paint astounded me. And then I saw a picture on Twitter by Mengel Minis, I'll leave a link in the description, which was absolutely amazing using Flesh over a Craig Acolyte. So I'm going to try it out myself and see if I can replicate what he did with that. I've sprayed it just with white, and I'm going to go straight over with Guilliman Flesh, so we'll see what it looks like. There we go, that's one layer of Guilliman Flesh over white. I've been a bit messy with it because I just wanted to make sure I cover it. And as you can see, I'm not very good at painting flesh. I'm an okay painter, but I'm not very good at painting flesh. And as you can see with this is actually working really well. This is still wet currently. This is just finished. But as you can see, there's lots of definition. It's sitting in the recesses perfectly. It's running off the flat parts of the breasts or whatever, you know, the pecs. And I'm actually really impressed with this colour in particular. But I think it does depend on what sort of model you use it on, as I said from the start. And you can see that with the other models. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a non-GW model now. This is a bust from Spartan Games, but it's the only bust I had. And I'm going to paint the skin exactly the same consistency, because I've got it ready mixed. And we're going to see what the face looks like compared. I'm not sure before I go in, I'm not sure it's going to work as well, because there's not as much detail, but we'll see. there you go. That's kind of like a bust head, or a bigger, larger size model painted with the same paint, with the same consistency, so applied in the same way. The only difference is that what I did was, well, I didn't do it around here, was I went around with the brush and just pulled out the excess in the recesses. As you can see, it's not quite worked as well. It doesn't look as natural, but this does give like a good base of how to like where you can work on the skin. You could go in and like touch it up. It kind of looks like he spilt something down his chin at the minute. But as you can see, like it sets in the ear really nicely because there's lots of detail there in the ears, around like the wrinkles, like the laughing wrinkles, and around the forehead. It's worked really well, but like around the mouth, like above the chin, not really worked. On the cheekbones, it's not really worked, and that's because it's a flatter model. Whereas if we compare this to the grey Kakalite, this looks a lot more natural compared to this guy, and that's because of the detail of the model. That's why from the start I've always said that it's not going to work well on flat armor panels. It's going to work really well with small organic models. So what I'll do is, with this model as well, I'll try the Space Wolves Grey again on this flat panel, but it's painted in white rather than grey. So I've actually gone in with Basilicanum Grey afterwards on his hair. This is just, again, I'm just testing some colours. I'm not really bothered what it looks like, to be honest. But it does like the greys come out quite nice. It's a lot of texture, it's a lot of hair, but it's a lot straight. It's quite straight, and there's not enough like randomness in the movement to make it look good. So it's all kind of just pulling at the bottom. As you can see with the armour, or the cloth, I guess, I went in with Space Wolf Grey again over white. But I went in a lot more. I was a lot more liberal this time. I didn't go in and clean it up, and I think while his drying it actually looked better. It looks a bit weird there because I touched it while painting the hair whilst it was drying. I think it does look a lot better over white, and it looks a lot better when I don't clean it up as much. I think there's definitely. I watched Miniac's video. I'll leave a link in the description to that as well. He said there was a really steep learning curve with these. I think there is, to be honest. I don't think this is the like paint all do all paint that they're making out it to be. I do think it's another tool in the toolbox, rather than like being a magic paint that's going to make you a better painter. It's a paint that you can use in a different way that comes out with nice effects. Not necessarily nicer, I nearly said nicer. Not necessarily nicer, but different effects that you can use. And you can either leave it like that. I mean, if you look at like tournaments and stuff like that, people just turn up with models that are just washed a colour over white, which is essentially what this does, but it'll give a nicer effect. Sadly, while this guy was drying, the paint has run off the back, run down his neck, along his collar, and then onto his chest. So it's like a weird like black brooch now. So something to be aware of when you are painting with contrast is that it is like a wash. It is super runny, so you have to make sure wait till it's dried before you start doing other colours, I'd suggest. And also I'd like make sure you clean up any pooling that looks terrible. Going back to the cloth, I think like it has kind of left it off the recesses, so it does look like it's highlighted. But what I'd do is go in with a highlight, and I'd like edge highlight all of this, which would look really nice, I think, and then do a little bit on the chest piece, and just make it look a bit more interesting, because it looks okay, but it does look like it's just been washed. You see models that are just airbrushed and washed, and I think it's like, whilst it's aimed at those people, it's also aimed at like contrast is more aimed at to build different contrasts. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I have this model from Star Wars Legion. It's a game that we're looking at playing on the channel soon if you are interested. And what I've done is I've given it as a Nethiel highlight, which again I've seen Miniac did one very similar, but what I've done this time, rather than go from black to white, I've gone from grey to white. So there's a very, very subtle contrast. already built with the Zenithio. And I'm going to be a little bit neat with this because this is like going to be a test model for the actual army that I'm painting. And I'm going to try it out. And I think for this sort of model, that's very like lots of fabric. It's also quite small, so it's very detailed, like very small details. That I think this will capture it perfectly. So let's have a go. So that's one coat of Agaros Dunes, which is like, it's a nice fatigue colour. I'm now going to go in with, I'm following the box art quite closely, so I'm going to go with Snake Bite Leather next. Straight away, I didn't like the actual colour because with Rebel Troopers, they were like more of an orangey jacket type thing. So what I've done is I've mixed in a bit of Nazdreg yellow to see if I can like save the colour. See, it's similar but not quite right. So I think you're gonna have to like kind of like practice with this and see if you can find the right colour for this sort of thing. Like looking at the like colour on the bottle, and then actually like trying it out in person, like does come up with a different effect. So I'm gonna keep going and see what we can kind of like come up with this. So now I'm gonna go in with Gorgrunt of Fur, and I'm gonna try to paint like the band of the hat. So like Gorgrunt of Fur was like a perfect colour, basically. Like that was like no mistaking. Like looking at the box art, that is like a perfect colour. So the fatigues on the legs are actually a lot darker than the arms. So I've gone in with Snakebite leather over the top, and now it just all looks a bit rubbish, but like you get the idea. The jacket is really throwing me off. It's making it look a bit pants, but once I get the jacket colour right, I think it'll look a lot better. I could always paint the jacket traditionally because I know what colours I can use to match it, but I thought I'd just try it with just pure contrast paint to see what it would look like. So now I'm going to go in with the magic colour, Guilliman Flesh, and we'll see what the face looks like. So this face is a lot more detailed. The details are closer together than the bust, but it's a lot less detailed than the Krayt Kakalak. So Psycho Brown is actually really nice. This is still wet, obviously. Obviously, I'm literally just finished painting. So Psycho Brown, actually a really nice dark leather colour. I should probably paint the straps as well. So I've gone with Cygol brown around the backpack and stuff. I've gone Cygol brown on her hair, which is actually over flesh, so you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but you can see it's a slightly different colour. She's got like a little bit of a fringe. Then I've gone with Basilicanum grey over the boots and stuff, and that is definitely a grey, it's not a black. I was kind of thinking, oh, it's just a black, but no, it's definitely a grey. As you can see, is this the best model I've ever painted? No, it's not. It's okay. It's very much 3 colours, I'd call, like a tournament standard thing, you know. Was it quick to paint? Yes, I think I've been painting this. Obviously, that was in super speed. I think I've been painting this guy, a lady, for like 15-20 minutes, and I've kind of like got most of the details done. This is just contrast, nothing else. Does it replace painting? No, it doesn't. It does not replace anything. You've got like, I've seen lots of like reactions. I've seen this as the magic paint as I started out the video. It's not a magic paint. I've seen this as a noob paint. Kind of a noob paint. Definitely good for beginners to kind of learn how to use the paintbrush. Is it like better than traditional painting? No. Is it different? Is it worse? Again, I'd probably say no. I wouldn't say it's better or worse. I'd say it's different in a way where you can use this to kind of help your painting, speed up painting, do things quicker than you normally would. Like that leather on the Rebel Trooper, like I'm really actually, like that's actually obviously really surprised me, along with the Guilliman flesh. Like it hasn't worked as well as the Rebel Trooper, but I'd be happy with that if it was an army. I'd spend more time on the characters. On the Craig Acolyte, I'm like super impressed, like because there's a lot of detail, there's a lot of recesses, which is this paint is obviously designed for. It's not designed for like a less detailed but small mini. I do think a lot of the leather work looks really good, a lot of the fabrics look really good. On flat models it looks kind of bad, so yeah. Will it replace anything? No. Should you consider it? Definitely. Do you need it to be the next best painter? Not really. You can do all the same stuff with traditional painting. This is just like a different way of doing it, and probably an easier way to get a similar effect, but not as good, I'd say. Obviously, there's like people like Andy Wardle and Richard Gray use contrast paints, and they look outstanding. But also, they have a lot of talent, which not everybody like you and me do. We have techniques, we don't have talent. So you know, go ahead and try them out. What I'd say is you can always give them a try, like I've done today. See what you think, but otherwise, you know, just keep painting. So if you enjoyed this video, then do let me know. It's a bit different to our normal videos. We do normally do battle reports. We've always wanted to do painting tutorials and stuff, but I thought I'd try this out as like a tester to see how, because it was not really like a painting tutorial. It was kind of like the first time I painted on a camera where I've had to keep it still, where it's not been live and I've just been able to like just move it around or whatever. I had to keep it quite steady. So let us know what you think. If you do enjoy this, don't forget to support us by subscribing, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, leave us a comment, obviously. All the usual shenanigans, but also make sure you check out Hellstormwargaming.co.uk. We do extra battle reports, extra videos, exclusive Facebook group, and, you know, it supports us for very little money. So it lets us do videos like this, lets us do battle reports and stuff. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been Hellstormwargaming. You've been fantastic, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye! Hi, welcome to this totally unbiased review of contrast paint by Games Workshop, or the part of Games Workshop known as Citadel Colour. It's totally unbiased, even though Games Workshop sent me the paint early to review them, and now no one else can get them in the world. Is that too bitchy? Start with a clap.
Tasty. Premium.
Warhammer 4 0'000. Beat bot. Death to the Ark.
The time you're on camera now, you slap.
1750, is that okay?
Yeah.
1750! Battle will be done! I like being a drone. Hello and welcome to this Lord of the Rings Battle Miniatures video game. James.
Hit it with the camera.
behind the memes.
Thank you very much for subscribing, supporting us, doing what we love to do, and hopefully you do love it and enjoy watching it.